Welcome to this explainer looking at the radiant harvest wheat among the weeds. The problem of evil is literally one of the oldest, most agonizing questions of human existence. When we look around at the injustice and just the sheer messiness of life, it's so incredibly easy to feel overwhelmed. Well, today we are analyzing a powerful text from the Bible based on Reformed Calvinism theology to really get to the bottom of it. We're going to unpack this brilliant agricultural metaphor that tackles these profound questions head on. Why does evil still exist? Why do the wicked seem to flourish right alongside the righteous? And maybe most importantly, what does the end of the story actually look like for those who stay faithful through all the chaos? Right at the beginning of our explainer here, we are going to anchor ourselves in the Bible, writing the Bible verse number and content together. Matthew 13:43. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Jesus paints this absolutely breathtaking picture of a glorious end. We are intentionally starting with the climax of the story. This isn't just a poetic sign-off, It's a concrete, immovable, theological promise. The reality of living in a mixed world, a world full of both profound good and devastating evil, can be super disorienting. But this promise of future radiance is exactly what's going to guide everything we discuss today. So we are going to outline the big picture first before we dive into the details. We've got 6 parts today. 1, the promise of glory. 2, historical context of the field. 3, the step-by-step harvest process. 4, human impatience versus divine restraint. 5, implications for college ministry. And finally, 6, a radiant final conclusion. All right, jumping into section 1, the promise of glory. Now, what is really fascinating here is how the existence of evil is framed. It's not a weakness at all. It's God's sovereign patience. Based on Reformed Calvinism theology, God is completely and utterly sovereign. He holds the entire cosmos in his hands. So if evil exists and seems to just go unchecked for a season, it is definitely not because God is unaware or unable to stop it. He isn't up in heaven wringing his hands trying to figure out a backup plan. Actually, it is a deliberate, intentional restraint. He is purposefully allowing both good and evil to grow together in the field of the world until his predetermined harvest. Understanding this deeply profound truth completely shifts our perspective from panic to trust. The chaos isn't actually chaotic. It's happening under the watchful eye of a patient creator who has a very specific timeline. Moving right along to section 2, historical context of the field. Before diving into the specifics, we really need to provide historical context for the topic. The Bible describes a crazy scenario of sabotage, and this sets the stage for that big question. Why does evil still exist if God is in control? Imagine a farmer doing everything right. He prepares the soil, plants a pristine field of wheat, but in the dead of night, while everyone is sleeping, an enemy sneaks in and maliciously sows weeds directly into that same soil. This wasn't just a colorful metaphor. This was a very real, devastating act of agricultural sabotage back in the day, used to completely ruin a rival's livelihood. Historians actually tell us this specific weed was likely darnold, which is a toxic plant that looks exactly like wheat early on. You literally couldn't tell them apart. Even worse, its root system is super aggressive, wrapping tightly around the roots of the good wheat underground. This historical context is absolutely vital for understanding the complex, intertwined reality of good and evil that we live in right now. Okay, section 3, the step-by-step harvest process. Jesus doesn't just present a problem. He actually maps out the exact resolution. Let's explain this step-by-step process described in the document. Step 1, the enemy plants the weeds in the cover of darkness. Step 2, God the Father patiently lets both grow together throughout the long season. Step 3, at the perfect predetermined time, he sends out his male angels to act as the official harvesters. And step 4, those male angels execute the clean and final separation, weeding out everything that causes sin. God is directing this entire process from start to finish. There's immense emotional relief in this for the believer. History is not a runaway train. The judgment is orderly, it's planned, and it is handled entirely by his capable male angels, not by us. Which brings us to section 4, human impatience versus divine restraint. Here we're going to compare and contrast 2 theories presented in the sources, 2 completely different approaches to dealing with evil. First, you have the servant's reaction. The moment they realize there are weeds suffocating their wheat, they want immediate action. Pull the weeds now. This perfectly captures our basic instinct for immediate human judgment. We want justice right now, today. But then you have the farmer's restraint. The farmer knows the severe danger of the first approach. Pulling the weeds early risks uprooting the fragile wheat because those roots are completely intertwined beneath the soil. Human judgment is clunky. It causes major collateral damage. The farmer simply says, let both grow. This is divine patience. Waiting until the very end ensures a perfectly clean, safe separation at the harvest without losing a single stalk of wheat. It's a profound contrast between our frantic desire to force a fix and God's wise, protective restraint.
All right, Section 5, Implications for College Ministry.
Now we're going to focus on the implications of the data for college students. How does this theology translate to your reality on campus? For student leaders who are exhausted after a long year of mixed results, you need to know the farmer is not surprised by the weeds in your ministry. Here are your key takeaways. First, don't be discouraged by campus opposition or confusion. Second, you just have to accept that the field is fundamentally mixed until the harvest. You can't create a perfect utopia in your dorm room right now. Third, you must actively resist the temptation to play judge or try to pull the weeds yourself. Taking aggressive judgment into your own hands usually just causes more damage to the fragile faith of the people watching. Fourth, don't write people off as irredeemable. You honestly do not know who is wheat and who is a weed. People change, so leave the final sorting to the angels. And finally, let this recalibrate your focus away from your immediate frustrations and entirely toward the glory of the age to come.
And finally, Section 6, a radiant final conclusion.
To finish with a clear conclusion of the research, let's focus on summarizing the key findings. The main argument and supporting evidence all point to one crucial thing. The end of the story is not the judgment of the wicked, but the absolute, radiant glory of the righteous shining like the sun. The darkness, the sabotage, the intertwined messiness you're facing today, it is strictly temporary. But the glory that is coming is permanent. In the new creation, God's people won't just survive the harvest. They will be completely transformed and unimaginably radiant. We live right in the tension between acknowledging the messy field of today and keeping our eyes fiercely locked on the bright glory of tomorrow.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to really chew on. The righteous will shine like the sun. How does the absolute certainty of that coming glory change the way you face uncertain results today? If you truly believe that the final harvest is secure, that the one holding the universe is completely sovereign, and that your ultimate destination is permanent radiance alongside the Father, how does that shift your perspective on your current struggles and unanswered questions on campus? Let that sink in, trusting that God's sovereign patience gives you true courage and real, profound joy for the beautiful work you have to do today.